All right, well, talking about the Panthers, let's go back to the home of the Premiers. They are running it back with 2 premiership rings. I love the Panthers. They have been the competition benchmark. But, Mick, no Api Coruscant, no Viliami Kikau. Do they have enough to cover the loss? And given what you saw in the World Club Challenge, do you think they're still adjusting to no Api and Vili?
I think it's really starting to take its toll, the success that they're having at the club, particularly with their roster. We saw last year guys like Paul Momirovski. We've seen Charlie Staines, Matt Burton's had to leave the club. Now they're starting to get thin. So we saw Taylor May pick up that ACL injury, which was highly unfortunate in the trials. Which is a loss because he was really good on that left-hand side. But you're right, Von. The keys are the loss of Coruscant and the pressure that he took off Nathan Cleary and Jerome Luai. Luai's flighty. He can come in and out of the game. When he's on, he's absolutely dynamic. And that presence on that left-hand side without Viliami Kikau looked a lot different in the World Club Challenge. And I know it's only a pre-season game, but it's an intense pre-season game that meant a lot to a lot of people. And they were hurting, but they just didn't seem to have that strike on that left-hand side without Viliami there. I think Coruscant's the key. I think that's the one that they miss most. Kenny's a really solid dummy half, but Api is one of the most deceptive, crafty dummy halves in the game, who's had huge impact wherever he's been. I thought he was tremendous for Cherry Evans at Manly when he was there. He had an instant impact with Nathan when he got to the foot of the mountain, won back-to-back premierships there. So how they handle and cover that, they're going to need an enormous contribution from Mitch Kenny.
Rock solid. I think they'll be thereabouts again. 3 straight grand finals back-to-back. The best defensive team we've seen in a very, very long time. So that in itself will hold them strong for most games.
But on that, Api made over 1,000 tackles on his own, had 12 try assists. So that's almost irreplaceable when you're looking at who's doing the work.
Mitch Kenny's solid. He's a good defensive player. I think the system that's ingrained in those players, they will beat teams through their defence. I'm with Mick. I think the spark of Coruscant, but also Viliami Kikau. What is it? 9 tries, 10 try assists, part of that best left edge attack we've seen. I think a lot of pressure goes on Jerome Luai. Yes, I think through the middle, Isaiah Yeo and Nathan Cleary can sort of help out Mitch Kenny at different parts, but for that left edge to be as strong as it has been the last couple of years, I think Jerome Luai will have to have his best ball-playing year because he's either going to have Hosking or Garner outside of him, not the big presence that Kikau is. Now, he can pass pre-line Kikau, but I think Jerome Luai, if they're going to continue on that trajectory of scoring points down at left edge, Luai, an outstanding ball-playing year, he'll have to have it.
What about for Nathan, though, as a game manager in those clutch moments? The trajectory that Nathan Cleary is on is so wonderful. We're also lucky to watch him grow and develop as a player. What's the next stage? Is it leadership? Is it maturity? Is it, coming up with something in the rep arena? What's the next step for Nathan Cleary?
Well, it's hard to get a new next step. The kid's a star. Yeah. He is a dominant figure in our competition. Yeah. If I have to be critical and look at the next way to him improve, if there's no kick out on the left-hand side, Nathan potentially plays a lot of his football through the scrum lines. He doesn't necessarily go down a short side, so maybe he can spend a bit more time on the left, combining up with maybe his centre and Luai down a short side or something like that. But this kid's a star. He's so good. He can control the game with a kick. He can control the game with a big play. He just has the game in the palm of his hand at the moment. But if I'm being a little bit critical, maybe it's that aspect that he can join down that left-hand side, which needs to improve in terms of no kick-out and play down short sides a little bit more. But it's a small thing.
I've got them finishing around 3rd. I still think they'll be up the top. I think that I'm with Cooper. Defensively, their systems are great. I just think that they are starting to come back to the field a little bit in terms of their game breakers, X-factors. Luai needs a big season in that regard, but without that presence of kick-out and Coruscant around the ruck, I think points won't be as easy to come by, and I think that they won't be able to have points as a luxury like they have over recent years.
Maybe they go to Martin on the right edge. Dylan Edwards becomes more of that go-to man when they're attacking their line because that's a good combination. Cleary, Martin, Edwards sorted. Edwards in the grand final and Martin representing Australia too in the World Cup. So maybe they become a more right-side dominant team as opposed to going left to kicker.
Let's go far north. Let's go to Townsville. The Cowboys were one of the best stories that we had last year. Todd Payten, he is loving life in North Queensland. And the good news for the Cowboys is those horrible runs up Castle Hill are over for another year. But they won't have the element of surprise.
No.
Mick, everyone will know they are coming. Our Fox Sports lab predictor has them finishing second, and their strength of schedule is the second hardest, and they wouldn't have it any other way.
No, well, they seemed to like the hard challenges last year. It was what Todd Payten was thriving on, getting his side up against the good sides. And the talk out of Townsville over the summer is that they're really looking forward to being the hunted this year. The fact that sides are coming for them. You know, you go back and look 12 months ago, we were having conversations about, is it Drinkwater that plays 5'8"? Is he playing fullback? Is Hamaso going to play fullback? Where does Tom Dearden even fit in? All of a sudden,
Can Chad Townsend do anything? Look at them.
12 months down the track, and he's got a side that is connected, that are willing to go to war for each other. And every single time you play the Cowboys, you know you are in for a tough contest. And guys that lead with their actions, like Ruben Cotter, he's got the side up and about and competing hard. The athleticism that they got in the side with their outside backs, Holmes, Talangi, Scotty Drinkwater pulling the trigger and playing with confidence. The edge back row of, you know, Heel and Lukey and Nanai, those type of guys. Absolute weapons. He's added some experience with James Tarmo, a premiership winner coming back there. I've got them down as grand finalists. I think they get there this year.
Wow.
Yep.
Yeah, they've got all the ingredients for a premiership threat. I don't necessarily disagree with that. The thing with the Cowboys is they have everything in place. They've got the game style, they've got the toughness, physically ready. The only thing is, can the individuals do it again?
Yeah.
Dearden had a breakout year. You know, Chad Townsend did his thing. Drinkwater was simply outstanding. Nanai burst onto the scene and played for Australia, right? And when you have these breakout years, do you get complacent? Do you tone back the work ethic? And that's up to the individual and up to the Cowboys, because everything else sits there really rosy for a tremendous year. If you're a Cowboys supporter, you should be very excited about the year. It's just up to the individuals. Can they go to that level again? That's the question.
And is that about the coaching, man management, expectations, egos, all that weird thing that goes into making the chemistry and the alchemy of a great team? How do you keep that all bubbling along? How do you keep them simmering again for a second straight year?
Yeah, a little bit to do with Todd, but I think he's done that. He's got a good relationship with his players, but I think sometimes clubs and coaches give you the baton. It's up to you as a player and individual to run with that thing and take it as far as you can to a grand final.
Yeah, I think he won so many of them over, you know, with his standards and seeing all those standards come to fruition and seeing that it actually paid off. But when you start to build relationships, that doesn't mean you can drop the intensity or drop the standards and become matey. There's times where he's connected and holds those strong relationships with his players, but they still need to know what the standards are now to have that success and be able to be hungry and to fight for it and to improve and get better. And I'm with Coops. It looks like he's got that system around him at the moment.
All aboard the Cowboys. Can't wait for this next season.